come? Are you actually going? There we go. All right. Now we're looking. How are we looking so far? Good. Good. All right. That looks good. I think that's okay. Good. All right. So let's just see how I can change that around. Does that do anything? Maybe. Let's see. All right. Good enough. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so today I'm actually taking a look at some of the things I gotta do for the Delta Module 1. So, as you know, well, I am Steven Sersky, and this is my language vlog channel. So it's Steven's Language Vlog. And here I sort of keep track of some of the things that I'm working on in terms of my languages and the sort of education things that should help either people who are learning English as a second language or who are teaching English as a second language. And I recently started the Module 1 of the Delta program. So, again, this is the Diploma for English Language Teaching for Adults, of adults, something like that. And today, one of the things that you're supposed to do is take a look at the previous test papers, and I thought in 10-15 minutes I'll like to sort of look at some of the things that I looked at today with the paper that I have available to me. I downloaded this from the Nile website. I'm doing a preparatory course, a preparation course for the exam that will take place at the beginning of December here in Beijing, and I've been looking at these exams, and I'll tell you, they say to look at previous test papers and to look at the examination reports. Now, I looked at the test papers. I'm like, okay, so what can I make? What sort of sense can I make of this? Now, sure, there's the test. Gotcha. I need to know what they're looking for. So that's what the purpose of the examination report is, which is what I have up here as well. Now, I printed the test papers with the idea that I was going to go through them with a highlighter and a pen and everything and mark them all up and everything to, I do like having that physical copy and to be able to get away from the computer as well and the distraction, the cell phones and stuff like that. Not only that, it is a paper-based test. So, and I think I am one of the proponents of that if you're going to write a test, you should attack the test the way that it's going to be done, right? So if you're writing a paper-based test, then know how to write it on paper. If you're writing a computer-based test, as it is with the HSK stuff, you can anyway, or some other language tests, you have to know how it works on computer. So since this is a paper-based test, I want to print out the test papers to have something physical to have in my hands. But with the examination reports, it's 61 pages long, and I didn't want to kill that many trees just yet, and I didn't want to stand around doing the double-sided flipping with my printer. And to be honest, my printer hasn't been working properly, so I figured, you know what? One of the easier ways to do it is to use your tablet. So yes, I know I do have a nice tablet here that I can use for this, and complete with the Apple Pencil. And so that's what I've been doing today, is going through this test paper or this examination report that it doesn't include the questions of the test paper, so you have to print the test paper and read the examination report at the same time. Now, I didn't do that. I just looked at the examination report to get a feel for what they were looking for and some of the things that I should keep in mind when I'm attacking this test. Now, if you don't have a tablet, this is not a big deal. There's actually a couple ways that you can do it on older tablets, like older iPads. If you have a MacBook or an iPad, you can go into the preview function and hit markup. And they've updated the iOS so that you can do this very easily. You might not have the Apple Pencil, which is, it's not a necessary thing, but it does make life a little bit easier. If you don't have a tablet at all, you can still do this on your MacBook If you do a preview, actually, if you open it up in preview, and even if you hit spacebar on your documents on the document that you want to preview, you can hit the little markup button, which is a little pen in a circle, and you can mark up the document quite a bit. There's quite a bit you can do. You don't need a new tablet to be using this stuff, or you can just print it and use a highlighter. That's fine. The reason I preface this video with that little spiel is because you're going to see that my writing is horrible, and it's because I'm trying to write on a tablet, which is a lot more difficult. Actually, and to tell you the truth, I think it would be even worse if I wrote it by hand. So, starting to scroll through this, you can see that they have broken up the examination by task, by paper, by task. I was looking at paper 1, and notably tasks 3 and 4 is what I've been looking at for the last couple of days. Tasks 1 and 2, the questions, I think they had a little bit of a, what was it? They don't put the questions in here. They don't have the, I can't remember. Okay, I'll have to look at this. But tasks 3 and 4, they're pretty thorough in what they're looking for. I won't spend a lot of time going through this. I think this is very valuable for you to go through on your own. This is actually one of the things that you're supposed to do in the course, is to go through these test papers and take a look at them. So with all that, taking a look at some of the things I've highlighted, so that one of the first things, the comments on overall performance, they actually analyze how candidates did throughout the whole test all over the world. So it says here, Delta Module 1 examination. This is the June 2015 exam report. 640 candidates in 85 centers around the world in a bunch of different countries. That's actually, they say it's a significant increase in the size of the cohort. I'm thinking that's a really tiny number, to tell you the truth. That's impressive, actually, that not that many people take it. Well, it goes to show sort of the exclusivity of it, but also, is it applicable to a lot of people's needs? Good question. Some people might take it instead of taking applied linguistics, or some people, a Master of TESOL. Some people would have a master's degree in ESL or language acquisition, and they won't need the Delta. The Delta is for people like me who don't want to sit through a master's course for a year or 2 years to get a qualification. So, perfect timing, right? More than 70% of the candidates passed, but within this band there was an increase of candidates who achieved a merit and distinction grade. So that's actually encouraging. Key reason is because of a revised exam format. So they gave candidates more time, particularly in Paper 1, Task 5, where the marks have been increased. And this also means that the revised format, so this doesn't really mean anything to me now. I'm sitting here 7 years later reading this thing, like, whatever. Why people did not get a pass is because they didn't know enough about the knowledge and the experience, or they didn't have enough experience about the different tasks and were unable to sort of perform at the Delta standard, which means that you're sort of able to look at a textbook, assess whether or not it's going to be good for a learner, or how it could be good for a learner, or how it's not good at all, and some of the different methodologies that you could use to teach language learners across a variety of skill levels and ranges of language proficiency. Majority of candidates had a poor knowledge of language systems, okay, particularly how to describe grammar, lexical form and use, and phonology. And I was told that phonology is actually becoming a lot more important in the scheme of things. So this is something I'm trying that I have to buff up on, like the whole international phonetic system that they have. No clue. Gotta figure that out for some in some time. Significant loss of marks in Paper 1, because Paper 1, Tasks 4 and 5, you have to analyze a lot of language that's given to you. They need to increase language awareness, particularly with phonology. Right, so there you go. Some candidates didn't take a preparation course, may have insufficient awareness of the task requirements. And I am taking a preparation course, as I've said, through Nile. And they're not affiliated with this. All of this is all on my own. If they have an affiliate link, I wouldn't mind actually getting that. But that being said, currently it's not affiliated. And so far it's been decent of the one induction that I've had, but also they've laid out everything in terms of the unit structure. And I do want to make a video about the unit structure later on, sort of what's going to come up. Sadly, I could see them all on the weekend, and then I guess the guy figured that out, and he blocked access to all the other units. So I should have taken a screenshot of it. It would have been nice. I mean, we know the syllabus. It's just the innards we don't know just yet. Each unit is opened up every Monday, I think it is, which is great. And do I really need to see that much into the future? Not too much. So without taking a preparation course, they should. It's kind of recommended that you do, or find someone who could take you through it. Candidates should refer to the Delta Module Handbook. So this is it's pretty thorough, but it's very dry reading, and it's very specific, very particular. And you're going to see that when they're talking about the different tasks, how sometimes they bury important information in the analysis, and it's kind of like, well, that should be sort of flag posted or highlighted and starred and everything. It's kind of important to know that. And so they do say it's very clear, and it is very clear. It's just very precise, and it's all words on a page. So I mean, if you're okay with looking at it on a screen, that's one thing. For me, I need some physical paper as well. In addition to, I have both. Okay, I mean, I'm using both just for ease and speed and efficiency to get things sort of moving along a lot quicker. They do point out that some candidates might have received inadequate or inaccurate center guidance in terms of what's required, so you do have to be careful who you're using. This is evident where requirements have changed, so maybe the test center, the preparation course centers, they weren't aware of the changes or didn't understand them, and so that they communicated either old information or inaccurate information about the test. And then, of course, continue not to manage their time effectively. And this is tasks, especially tasks 4 and 5 in paper 1, and then tasks 2 and 3 in paper 2. A lot of marks on the table there, and they actually say that you should do them first. They say it here: you're free to attempt the tasks in any order, but you should, and they say candidates who attempt the high-scoring tasks first usually are able to complete them and therefore get the most amount of marks. Mean score, prep 61%, 56% for paper 2, doesn't really matter. This just breaks down all of the marks for the different papers. Do you really need to know it? If you want to read a bunch of numbers, go for it. Paper 2, task 1, high number of marks with more than half the candidates achieving at least 10 marks. So that's pretty good. Finding a little fuzzy actually to think of which all the tasks are. Again, I've just started looking at this stuff, so I'm sure people who've taken the Delta will be like, that's that question. You should know that. And that's true. That's what I'm learning, and that's what I am going through these videos for. So that is sort of their overall look at the test as well. The only other thing I'm going to talk about right now, there is quite a bit I could go on about, but I think suffice to say, I'm sort of making this video for some people who might need a little bit more access to, who want a bit more of who want to be able to listen to this, okay? Because I noticed the uptick of people who want podcasts and things like that. It's a lot easier to sometimes listen to some of the things that are going on rather than sit down with 61 pages of information, highlight it as it is, and then sort of figure it out and try to figure out what the important parts of information are as well. So general advice, they do give you some overall advice to all the candidates, which seems, honestly, seems very obvious, but I guess it does bear repeating, and emphasizing like you should do this. And the reason why you should do this is because that's what's needed to be done in order to pass the test, right? Do sample test in the Delta Modules Handbook and review their answers against the guideline answers, and sample scripts with the accompanying examiner comments. And they're thorough. Their guideline answers are thick. That's the only word I can sort of think of, is thick. But I'm getting a poor stream health. Okay, well, I'll have to make a backup of this somehow. But the Delta Modules Handbook and the guideline answers, I mean, it's pretty thorough what they're going for in terms of, how to lay out your answer, what sort of information they're looking for, and how much of it to provide as well, which is very important. Plan time accordingly. Again, start with high scoring tasks. Paper 1, tasks 4 and 5. Those are huge marks. And I think also paper 2, task 4 is also a lot of marks as well. So those are huge marks. But again, we write the papers in 2 different sessions. They're 90 minutes each, part 1 and then part 2, or paper 1 and then paper 2. And you do have a half-hour break in between that. But with those, I mean, tasks 4 and 5 on paper 1, I'm already starting to think like that's where I would need to focus a lot of my information or my efforts, because I want to be able to score as much as I can, and then move down to the definitions, which are tasks 1 and 2, and then tasks 3 is another. I can't remember what that is, but tasks 1 and 2 are definitions basically. Tasks 4 and 5 are your language analysis. Read the question rubrics. Why do they use the word rubric? Read the question carefully. Okay? Underline and highlight the key points that you need. You have to, and this is, again, when you're going through this examination, so the examiner comments, read through their guideline answers, because they put in extra information that isn't clearly marked as being very important, but it kind of is. Only provide the number of features, strengths and weaknesses, features, points, and purposes. So features, okay, so that's 1.3, paper 1, task 3, appropriate number of strengths and weaknesses for paper 1, task 4, and features for task paper 1, task 5A, and so on with paper 2, task 1. The purposes, the ways of the exercises, combine, and assumptions. If you provide too much, they actually count, left, right, and then down, left, right. So it's left, right, left, right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they stop counting. So whatever the number is, whatever the required number is, they go horizontally and down the paper. And once they hit the required number, they stop. And do you blame them? If you're a word examiner, would you want to do any more than you have to? Good. If you're anybody, do you normally... They're not in a teaching role. And I think this is very important. It's not in their job description to be accommodating to people who haven't followed what the question is asking. The rubric, as they call it. Respect the rubric. Respect the question. And do only what you're supposed to do. No more. Waste of time, and a waste of their time as well. In question 2.3, only make 15 points, which will allow the candidate to produce more depth in their answers. So apparently some people write lots more. I am not interested in writing lengthy paragraphs about this stuff. I might talk about it at length in a video, but writing any more of that, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. Plan the order. So again, already planning the order of what you're going to do, your plan of attack for this, making sure that, oh, look at this, complete at least 2 full mock examinations in timed conditions in order so that candidates get used to the exam format and the time requirements. That's important. I do this with my HSK studies as well. Sit down, time yourself, do a proper paper exam, pen and paper, and see how you go with in those sort of mock exam circumstances. Next, don't make rough notes. I'm actually surprised that you're not supposed to, but don't make notes because there's no time for it. Instead, just do what's suggested in bullet points. So make bullet points. You don't have to write full sentences except in your examples. Um, that is the idea, is that your analysis can be done in bullet point, but your examples from the text often have to be in full sentences depending on the question, of course. So, but if they're asking for, like, give an example of the past simple, you have to give the full sentence. You can't just give the first three words that do that and then leave the rest blank. You have to give a little bit more. They also say do more tasks under time conditions to get used to the requirements and formats of the different tasks. Simple enough. Follow the layout, and they give layout. They give the template. They actually, I'm surprised. This is something that tripped me up with the CELTA many years ago, is that I wasn't following the templates given. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just follow the method that they tell you to do. That's what I'm going to do. Although I've yet to hand in my first task, so we'll see how well I do that. Yeah, so follow the layout that they say. Number the points and make sure they respect. There you go. Respect the rubric. Don't mess with the rubric. You do that, they mess with you. There you go. But number the points, so you can organize your answer in a clear and concise way. Don't make it all over the place and crazy. Like, don't assume that they are going to understand your organization methods. Make it very simple so that anyone can understand it. I can also use headings and subheadings to signpost their answers. And the examiner comments, they actually go through this quite a bit. And then start each task on a new page, and clearly label their answers, showing what the task, which question they're answering. And then, of course, give lots of space. I guess you're given enough booklet space to use that there's no point in trying to write really small or cram everything into one page. Instead, it is one of these things where you can actually sort of space things out, make it nice and neat. I want to say that if it's something that you think you'd like to read, that's what you should do. But I know that there are some people who are like, yes, I have no problem reading Egyptian hieroglyphics if it's written in Greek. And you're going, first of all, that doesn't work. Second of all, how? Not entirely sure. So you want to make it clear and make sure that it's, anyone who picked it up would be able to look at it and go, okay, I understand what information is being presented, how it's being presented, and I can easily navigate through it. If you've written a university essay before, chances are you can organize your answer. But I say this after having corrected university essays, so I kind of see so many errors, and you can't assume that people know what they're doing. It really is. I know it's silly, but yeah. If you've written a university essay or understand the concept of a university essay and how it should be laid out, same organization principles, but in bullet points for the delta. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here. I'm just going to take a look at a little bit more here. Okay, in terms of the grade breakdown, I won't go through this. I mean, I think it's pretty standard, and you can find out. And honestly, I don't even know if it's important. The important thing is to know is that paper 1 tasks 4 and 5, and then paper 2 tasks 2 and 3 are worth the most. So you should do them the first. I guess is sort of what the idea is. And again, points made twice within an answer. So if you repeat yourself, don't repeat yourself, or else they just kind of they move on. And here again, mark scheme. I've never talk about learning something in your native language. Mark scheme. Never heard that before. I call this the rubric, sort of the breakdown of the grading, but they call it mark scheme. Makes sense? New word. There you go. Learned something already. And then, of course, the ratings, they give a whole bunch of information as well, which you don't need to know, only because your idea is to get as many marks as you can, but the marks, knowing what marks you're going to get, won't affect your knowledge, right? So focus on the knowledge and being able to perform well rather than the marks that you're going to get, because some marks are going to be sort of examiner interpretation of what could happen. Finally, grading. There's 3 grades. Passing grades: pass with distinction, with merit, and then just pass. And it gives the marks down here. So you can pass with 50%. Woo, let's go. Pass with merit, 65%, and then pass with distinction. I laugh here in September. In December, I might not be laughing. It's a very good point to make. I am surprised that pass is so low, but there might be a reason for that. And I'm starting to think, with language analysis and the stuff that I've looked at so far, very good point in that you do have to know your stuff, and you have to know it pretty quickly. You have to be able to jog it from your memory, and then apply it in a live situation, in a timed live situation that you're going to be graded on. Oh, why am I doing this again? At the end of the marking process, okay, so it's here they just have sort of a generic sort of disclosure of how things are marked, and they're saying that they're being fair across all 640 candidates, or however many people are taking the test at that time, and that it's consistent from one session to the next, despite any sort of variations in the difficulty of the papers. So, okay, so that is an introduction, and if I actually scroll down a little bit more, this gets into paper 1, task 1, and all the others, which I think is a little bit much to be going through all in one video. I have not gone through all of it. I've done these, and I've got up to task 4. I think that's where I stopped, which I respect the MFin rubric. There you go. Don't mess with the rubric. So yeah, so this is task 4 of the paper of paper 1. So you can see what I've been doing here, highlighting, going through these different things, making some notes, scribbling some ideas here, focus on what to focus on, how the good answers are different from the bad answers, or the answers from the bad answers. What did this task first? Do this task. I don't know why I did that in the past tense. Do this task first or second during the test. There you go. So this is tasks 4, 3 and 4. So you should do those pretty quickly. Sorry, it's task 4. Yeah, task 4. Do that first or second. The only one that you could bump it for is task 5, which is also pretty big. I think this is very important here. I'd probably want to come back and talk about this again, but for your answers, it's usually 3 things that you have to keep in mind, which doesn't look like you have to do 3 things, but it is. Number 1, state what you're talking about. Number 2, state that you're giving examples. Number 3, give the examples with line numbers and the words, all of them, or as many as you can anyway. That seems to be what these guideline answers are telling. And remember, I said before, there are some points that they bury within the guideline answers, and these little NBs, little note benes. This is what you got to be aware of, that they're burying. They're not even in bold. They're just at the tail end of the example answer. And if you're just reading this, glancing through it, because honestly, how many people are going to sit there and actually read through this? Oof, good question. But that's the stuff that you have to look at and be aware of. So for this, minimum 2 points must be mentioned. Minimum of 2 points must be mentioned. NB, not paragraph 5, lines 20 to 22. They say just paragraph. Also, the paragraph 3, and then they put in brackets lines 8 to 11. Same with your paragraph 4, and in parentheses lines 13 to 19. So that's something you're going to be careful for. That's task 4. So yeah, this is what I was looking at today, highlighting quite a bit. It's been actually very illuminating going through this one set of examination reports. This is the only one I've looked at so far, and marked this up. I might actually get the other one printed, just so I have something physical to go look at on my own. Again, here, don't copy from the rubric examples. Don't repeat yourself. So don't copy from the rubric is kind of like when you are, think of when you're marking a test and someone just copies out all the words from the question. Is that original thought? No, it's not. You can't just depend on the questions given to formulate your answers. You're actually supposed to think, use your brain, and produce something creative and original that answers the question, not just use other parts, other words from the other questions to answer the question that you're supposed to be answering. Does that make sense? Don't copy the rubric, and don't repeat yourself, and respect the rubric. Boy, I hope I remember all this in December. It seems pretty commonsensical, but who knows? Be specific, using past tenses rather than stating the precise names of the forms. So yeah, you have to past tense. Yeah. Oh, so you have to give the actual name of what verb form, what past tense is it? Don't just say using past tenses. That's not accurate enough. It's too generic because there's a couple of past tenses. You have to give the exact name of it. And same with these linkers. You have to give the function as well. But this is something you should be looking at anyway with the examination report. Common features. Yeah, right here. So again, they're burying important information right in the middle of the description of the guideline answer. So you be careful of that when you're going through these examination reports. All right, so, and this gets into task 2 and then task 1 up here as well. So, task 1 here and then task 2 down here. So I will probably go through this again a little bit later, because I also have to go through task 5. I haven't done through that just yet, but I hope that sort of helps some of the people who are working on this as well. It gives you an idea of how I'm going through these examination reports. I know this is a bit lengthy, but I think it's good to sort of hear some other voices in terms of how other people are working on this as well. I know they actually told us to communicate with other people on the course, and you're not alone. You're in this together, which is great. That's awesome. But as I was saying yesterday, I think it's kind of good that it's a lot of theory and textbook stuff. This is kind of stuff that I don't feel like I'm on the weak end. Sort of, I think it's one of the stronger points actually, is that it's one of these sort of isolated things. You just sit down, read, learn some information, learn some things about English language and how to teach other people, and then when they give you something, are you able to analyze it very, very methodically and very precisely. So that's basically what the Delta Module 1 is looking to do. At least that's what my understanding is of it so far. All right, well, I will leave it there. I hope you folks enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. You can leave them in the comments below. That's fine. This is posted on YouTube, and I think I'm also going to rip the audio and make this available for an MP3 download as well. All right, good luck. Stay safe out there. You're not alone. And remember, respect the rubric. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.